to go on the air. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, you're in for a tremendous edition of the Global Freedom Report. That's coming up right after these words.
Fighting for your freedom. This is the Global Freedom Report. We'll be right back.
What if you could live free from government regulation? What if you could learn how to lawfully opt out of taxes, eliminate personal liability, and travel in your vehicle without Big Brother watching over you? The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, reveals the truth about the American legal system, the U.S. Constitution, and shows how to protect your God-given rights. The American Sovereign provides information critical to all people who value liberty. This 250-page full-size paperback will change the way you live and teach you how to reclaim control over your life. The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, is available through Freedom Bound International. Call them toll-free at 888-385-3733. That's 888-385-FREE. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us. The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation is the #1 book on sovereignty in the world. Get your copy today.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. 866-870-KRLA is the toll-free number if you would like to be part of the show. 866-870-KRLA. Hey, listen, if you have an issue you want to address and you want a lot of people to hear what it is that you have to say about your issue, become part of Rants and Raves. This is an opportunity for members of our audience to address these issues that they feel so strongly about, they got to rant about them or rave about them. You'll be given the chance to call into the show and share your anger, your outrage, your frustration, or maybe your joy as to whatever the issue or issues are that are concerning you. If you are interested in being part of Rants and Raves, all you have to do is call us off the air at 888-385-3733, 888-385-FREE, and say, I've got a rant or I've got a rave. Okay, and we'll get you all set up. You'll get 5 minutes on the air to speak to 1 million people about whatever the issue is or issues are that concern you. Our question for the week: are you concerned about appearing on government lists? And if so, which lists are you concerned about? In the latest news, after multiple days of late-night mail-in ballot drops finally being tallied, it was discovered that Joe Biden won the Los Angeles mayoral race with an astonishing 81 million votes. While most cities and states seem to be able to figure out who won and who lost by the end of the day of the election, Los Angeles can take days, weeks, or even months, or years to allow for all the mail-in ballots to trickle in, resulting in a spectacular come-from-behind victory for Joe Biden. In the case of the Los Angeles mayor's race, most voters expected incumbent Karen Bass and top challenger Spencer Pratt to be the top 2 vote getters who would head into a runoff election in November. But several days after the election took place, a late mail-in ballot drop was tabulated, which swung things decidedly in favor of Joe Biden by a historic margin. A truly impressive victory for a candidate who didn't even run, said Los Angeles election official Francis Peabody. This is a bit unusual, but not outside the realm of possibility. Normally, voters expect that the candidates who are actively campaigning for the job will get the most votes, but sometimes a last-minute ballot drop can dramatically swing things like this. We can now officially declare Joe Biden is the winner, said Peabody. Skeptics immediately accused the mail-in voting system of being rife with fraud and impossible to verify. But experts were quick to point out that voter fraud is incredibly rare and that no one even needs to make it more transparent or secure. We need to count every vote, said Peabody. These 81 million citizens of the city of Los Angeles deserve to be heard. At publishing time, Joe Biden had also won the race for California governor. All right. Obviously, that is a bit of a parody. Let's take a look at some real news. Parents in Washington state got wind of an artificial intelligence AI experiment at their children's preschool and were able to stop it. But how many other similar programs are being run without parents' knowledge? And that is the question. There is a new and dire threat to privacy that parents of school children need to be aware of and be prepared to fight against. Artificial intelligence in the classroom. Frank Landymore of Futurism.com reports that in a May 18th article on a sinister plan hatched by the University of Washington to film preschool children during class time. If this is going on in Washington, you have to believe it is going on at least in the planning stages, if not already happening, across the 50 states. The article reports that a planned University of Washington study would have had school teachers wear cameras to record first-person footage of everything in the classroom, including the children they were instructed, and use that footage to train AI models. Remember, those behind the global technocracy movement believe the only value a human being will hold in the new society they are trying to create is the data sets they produce. This was stated in the Wide Open a few years ago by the Marxist World Economic Forum advisor Yuval Noah Harari. Without your personal data to be stolen, manipulated, and sold for profit, you are nothing to them but a useless eater. Part of the plan is to create a digital twin of every person on Earth as an anchor to the new digital control grid. Why wouldn't the Epstein class of entitled billionaire elites harbor perverted, twisted views of children, want a daily video record of everything your child does in school? Every word uttered, every facial expression, every action and reaction, year over year for comparison's sake. Then they can use this data to create algorithms that predict everything your child will grow up to become before he or she is 10 or 12 years old. Harari, an Israeli historian and chief advisor to the WEF, an organization of unelected bureaucrats who seek to rule the world, has said that if he had access to artificial intelligence when he was younger, he believes he would have discovered he was a deviant homosexual at age 11 or 12 instead of discovering at age 17. In fact, a Newsweek article from September 8, 2017 made the case that AI can predict with startling accuracy whether a person is a deviant homosexual or a normal heterosexual. This particular story, in the case of Washington State, has a positive outcome. It exemplifies the kind of parental awareness and bold activism that is needed to shut down the illegitimate use of artificial intelligence technology in the classroom. This is real, folks. That first story was a parody. This one is real. This is happening. Okay. There are no protections against the abuse of AI technology, and without those protections, there's nothing to stop the evildoers, the bad people, the Marxists, the globalists, the technocrats from destroying our lives further than they already have. We have to stop them, and we're not going to stop them by protesting, and we're not going to stop them by writing letters or having social media campaigns. We're going to stop them by force and force alone. Okay, if we're not prepared to raise up arms and shut them down forcibly, and to hell with the police and to hell with the government, okay, who won't do anything about it. If we're not prepared to do that, then you might as well pack it in. Give your children over to the pedophiles. Let them do to them whatever they want to do, because that's your only other option. Now, you've listened to me for a whole year. I make sense. I'm not a crazed lunatic. What do you think about this? 866-870-KRLA. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to visit with G. Edward Griffin and discuss the Federal Reserve, the heart of poison in the United States of America. We'll be right back after these words.
You're listening to the Global Freedom Report. We'll be right back.
In a world where forgotten history hides ancient forces of control, Atlas uncovers a forbidden codex and is thrust into an epic battle for humanity's freedom. The Book of Atlas, a groundbreaking feature film, the first fully AI and crypto-driven cinematic experience, premieres online April 19th. Get your tickets now at thebookofatlas.com and save 40% with promo code Brent. That's Brent for 40% off at thebookofatlas.com.
Every time we object to a thing being done by government, the socialists conclude that we object to its being done at all. We disapprove of state education. Then the socialists say we are opposed to any education. We object to a state religion. Then the socialists say that we want no religion at all. We object to a state-enforced equality. Then they say that we are against equality, and so on and so on. It is as if the socialists were to accuse us of not wanting persons to eat because we do not want the state to raise grain.
I was born in a welfare state, ruled by bureaucracy, controlled by civil servants and people dressed in grey. Got no privacy, got no liberty, 'cause the 20th century people took it all away from me.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. G. Edward Griffin is a writer and documentary film producer with many successful titles to his credit. Listed in Who's Who in America, he is well known because of his talent for researching difficult topics and presenting them in clear terms that all can understand. He has dealt with such diverse subjects as archaeology and ancient Earth history, the Federal Reserve System, terrorism, internal subversion, the history of taxation, U.S. foreign policy, the science and politics of cancer therapy, the Supreme Court, and the United Nations. His better-known works include The Creature from Jekyll Island, World Without Cancer, and The Fearful Master. He is founder and president of American Media and the Cancer Cure Foundation, and publisher of Need to Know News. He is founder of Freedom Force International and creator of Red Pill University and Red Pill Expos. The mission of these Red Pill endeavors is to popularize and mobilize a global coalition for the victory of individualism over collectivism and liberty over tyranny. G. Edward Griffin, it is my honor and sincere pleasure to welcome you to the Global Freedom Report. How are you, my friend?
Well, thank you. I know I have some technical problems. I hope my voice is coming through okay.
Okay, we are having some trouble, G. Edward. I don't know. You sound like you are underwater.
Yes, sounds great too. I don't know what to make of it.
Okay. Okay. Try backing away from the mic a little bit and try again, please.
Well, I put the lavalier. I'll lower it. I'll turn the volume down a bit. And how does that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Do you have anybody there that help you technically?
Myself, I'm fairly technical. There are no controls visible to me to adjust my picture or my audio. And I fix it with that.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to have you get off the line and call in by phone. We will get you on the air that well. Okay, let me give you the phone number. Write this down. Are you ready? Okay, 866 870 5752. I'll repeat it. 866 870 5752. Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, so hang up from where you are. Call that number right now. The studio will be waiting. As soon as you get them, tell them who you are. They will put you on the air with me. All right. And it'll be a minute or two before we have G. Edward on with us. And while we are waiting, I'll just tell you again the question for the week. Are you concerned about appearing on government lists? And if so, which ones? Are you concerned about appearing on government lists? If so, which ones? And Ryan, listen out. G. Edward is going to be calling in any moment. As soon as he calls in, you want to bring him on with me over here. Oh, okay. Kevin. All right. Do we have him?
Hello, I'm
Kevin.
on the line here.
Is that G. Edward?
That is I.
Yes.
Okay. Too many people talking. G. Edward, are you there? Just you, G. Edward. Are you there on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Excellent. So, okay. Again, I want to thank you for being with us and for staying. Let's get through the technical stuff. For staying with us on this, we got so much to talk about. I want to actually start off in your book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. You diligently exposed the fraud and corruption leading up to the passage of the Federal Reserve Act. This was supposedly an over the Christmas holiday session in which most members of Congress were not even there. Now, considering that the idea of a private central bank is so contrary to the principles of the Constitution and the powers it imparts to the government, how did the passage of this act even stand? Why wasn't it overturned and voided out immediately upon the return of Congress?
That's a good question, Brent. And since we're so far removed from the event in history, it's hard to do research on it. But my impression is, first of all, that the story is perhaps a little bit exaggerated, because as far as I could tell, even if Congress had been in full force, I'm quite confident they would have passed the Federal Reserve Act, because the bankers had been very successful in approaching most of the congressmen and senators and made deals with them. And they convinced them, many of them were convinced that this was a wonderful thing. It would put an end to the bank runs and all the problems in the economy if the government just took care of it. And the other half were probably bribed into submission with special offers, money offers, special positions in government, and so forth. So I think there's overemphasis on the fact that it was Christmas and that the place was empty, although historically that is true. But just for the record, I think that even if the full Congress had been present, they would have still passed the law because they were committed to it beforehand. Now the question remains is why? How could they be convinced? Well, I think it was a combination as it is today. Well, how come they continue with it today? How come the congressmen allow it to continue? If you put a vote to Congress right now, they'd probably all vote it in. They think it's a great idea, even though they criticize it. Why? Because they get money from these banks. They get donations. They also know that the banking fraternity has absolute iron control over the media, the newspapers, the television stations, because after all, they are the bankers. They provide the money, and they provide the loans to these organizations and the interest deals and so forth. And they know, and these corporations know that if they go too far afield, they're going to be cut off at the financial thrust. So today, the same question: how come Congress doesn't abolish the Fed? I think it's half because they don't know it. They think that if they took away the Fed, why, probably, the whole system would collapse. But on the other hand, some of them are financially obedient to the banking cartel.
All right, I'm going to put a bookmark in that because I want to follow up on that, but we do have to take our bottom of the hour break. So my guest is G. Edward Griffin. The topic is the Federal Reserve System. The show is the Global Freedom Report, and we will be right back with more after these words.
This is where the truth matters. The Global Freedom Report. Don't go away. Brent will return in a moment.
A common law pure trust organization is the most powerful asset protection device available. Pure trusts have been around in the USA since 1790, when Patriot Patrick Henry created the first one. Pure trusts establish ironclad protection for real property, vehicles, businesses, and just about anything else. A pure trust creates a wall of privacy over its assets, reduces personal liability, and protects property from attachment. Freedom Bound International has been creating pure trusts for over 35 years, and none of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. Call today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us for information and applications for their pure trusts. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
The Answer. Breaking news.
L.A. mayoral candidate Nithya Raman responds to Spencer Pratt's video where he promised to expose alleged corruption in the city.
It's a very, very odd turn of words.
In a 3-minute video released Friday, the former reality star said since he failed to advance in the primary, he's now free to speak his mind. Raman says she remains focused on the future.
About getting my message of change, of a choice away from this very broken status quo out to voters.
Larry Marino in the Answer Newsroom.
America truly is the home of the bravest and the best. We are incredibly blessed. Larry Older here, asking for your help during our country's 250th birthday and this very special 4th of July. We're sending care packages to our U.S. military who are serving and protecting us so far from home and family. Your donation of $25, $50, or $100 will truly make a difference. While we all celebrate America's 250th birthday, living in the best country on earth, many of our true American heroes will be forgotten. All donations to Troopathon will help, and every care pack you help send shows how much you appreciate what they're doing for us. And for those blessed more than most, a one-time gift of $10,000 helps send hundreds of care packs to our brave U.S. military around the world. And for your generous donation, you can have lunch with me and then watch the first hour of the Larry Older Show in studio with me. Call 833-2-TROOPS. That's 833-2-TROOPS. Or give online at am870.info, and thank you so very much.
Hi, this is Kenny Michaels, host of the show Striking Gold. You know, every week on my show, I talk about people moving their retirement accounts, their cash into physical gold and silver. Well, why not? It's the most popular investment today in America. It's the safest investment in America, and it's still the most profitable investment in America. Why not? Think about this for a minute. Not only can you move your retirement account into physical gold and silver, you can move your cash in the bank. And think about how smart that would be. You have money in the bank, and the bank pays you a tiny bit of interest. Then at the end of the year, they send you a tax form. Now you got to pay tax on the tiny bit of interest. What a joke. Instead, put it into gold and silver. Want to know how? Tune into my show, Striking Gold, with me, the good-looking Kenny Michaels, every Saturday from 7 to 9 a.m. and again from 12 to 1 p.m. Or call me at 888-406-6222 or go to kennysgoldquiz.com.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
AM 870. The Answer.
This is Ambrose Evans Pritchard, International Business Editor of the Daily Telegraph in London, and you're listening to the Global Freedom Report.
Freedom Fever.
I will not make any deals with you. I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered. My life is my own.
Freedom Fever. Spread it around.
Know the road by which you came. They know your mother's maiden name. And what you had for breakfast. What you had in the mattress. Insect politics. In different universe. Bang your head against the wall. But never see it worse.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. My guest is G. Edward Griffin. The topic is the Federal Reserve. Welcome back, G. Edward. The Constitution clearly states that money is gold and silver. It does not allow for fiat currency, paper notes, cryptos, or any other form of money. Why has this issue never been addressed by the Supreme Court, or if it has, why have Federal Reserve notes not been ruled to be non-legal tender?
The same.
G. Edward.
Yes, I think it's basically the same as the fact, why did they allow the Federal Reserve System to become law in the first place? Why did they allow it to remain as a Federal Reserve cartel, private cartel banking? It's because the members of Congress are captives. It's because they don't really make the decisions. They have to cast the votes, but most of them are already indebted in some way or another. They're committed to their masters, who are these banking interests and their corporate entities that surround them. So it's not a question of how come can they do it. The question is that they can't do it without risking their careers, their income, and in some cases their lives. We're up against a cartel, bigger than just a cartel. It's a cabal, I would say. It's global. It touches into every areas. It's not just banking. It's in the educational system. It's in the media. It's even in the churches. You find it everywhere. And it's hard for me to imagine even that I'm saying this, because as a young man, I would have fought this idea tooth and nail. I thought I was born into the country of my forefathers. I read about the American Revolution and the battle for our freedom and our liberties and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and all that. That would never happen in America, I thought. I was so lucky. And now I realize that even before I was born, this cabal was largely in place and growing incrementally by the day. And we had 2 wars to solidify it. I consider, just to show how radical I am, I think we're still in World War I. We didn't win World War I or II. We just stopped fighting, that's all. The cabal that we're talking about was international. And it was on both sides of the war. It was engaging in war to shake up society, to confuse people, to fill the world with fear, so that drastic changes in the way they were living and the way they do business, the changes would seem rational as some means of escaping some horrible fatality. You know, that game is still going on. They just scare us to death with all of these events, these wars and epidemics and famines that they're planning on next. And who knows? The idea is to keep everybody afraid so that all they can do, or all they can think they can do, is turn to the government and make the government stronger and have more taxes. And then they take care of us. And they will give us free food, free shelter, free health care, free education, protection against all these wonderful things. And we say, oh, thank you, government. Thank you so much. And, of course, we dare not do anything contrary to their will. And so we vote ourselves into slavery because of this fear and this use of tactics to break up society. These politicians are not trying to solve problems. They're trying to create problems. That's why nothing works for them. It's not because they're stupid. It's not because they have bad advisors, like we like to believe. We think, well, you know, we voted for this guy, and he must be good because we voted for him. We don't vote for bad people. But look what happened. He's making bad decisions. Oh, he must have bad advisors. We can't realize that these guys themselves are the crooks, and they're playing a game in many cases. They control both sides of the battle, and we think it's a real battle. It's like and when in reality, it's just like a rigged wrestling match. So that's the brief answer, really, to your question. If you're looking for a logical answer any other way, you won't find it. There's no logic for it. But if you understand these people, then it makes sense.
Absolutely, and okay, let's bring it forward 100 years. Today, in today's political climate, in today's Supreme Court, is there any reason why, in today's social media world, the issue of the invalidity of the Federal Reserve notes should not or could not be again raised in the Supreme Court?
Well, why take it to the Supreme Court? This is not the solution. Don't forget, the Supreme Court is made up of judges who are nominated by the crooks. So where do you think the justices are? So you think the solution is by taking it to the court, getting some good lawyers on this case, and spending a lot of money on legal action. I think you're missing the boat. That's not where the problem is. You have to replace these people. Now, you've mentioned earlier before the break that you thought the only way to replace them was with violence. I disagree with that, by the way, because I think that if you analyze the difference between now and the time of the American Revolution, it's quite different in the technology. The time of the American Revolution, the soldiers for the Crown of England and the soldiers, George Washington soldiers, had the same rifles and the same bayonets. There was no advantage of one over the other in terms of weaponry, except in numbers. And in some cases, the American troops had more numbers than the British, because the British had to put them in boats and ship them over and feed them on the boat. And then when they died, they couldn't recruit them here. They'd have to get more from England. Whereas as they died, the American forces died, they were recruited right on the spot. So in many cases, we won the Revolutionary War because we had more soldiers than the British did. And we had the same weapons. But today, let's get realistic. I mean, if we're going to, I have to laugh when I hear people say, well, they'll never take my gun from me. They'll have to take it out of my cold, dead hand. I think to myself, yeah, that can easily be arranged. Today, our enemy is in control of chemical weapons, electrical weapons, weapons that burn down whole forests and towns from the sky, and atomic bombs, and psychological weapons, and propaganda weapons, and monetary weapons. They make the money. They teach in the schools. They run the police, so forth. And you're not going to violence on the part of the average citizen who's not organized, doesn't have his own army, his own supply line, his own training, his own communications. It would be a terrible bloodbath, and it'd be a very short battle. The answer, if we have one, is we have to take back the systems that they have stolen from us. They stole it from us bloodlessly. They took it through propaganda, through diligence, from going into office, running for office. Well, don't bother us with running for office. I hate politics, they say. I don't want to dirty my hand with politics. I just stay out of that. And so they They take over our governmental positions while we watch Dancing with the Stars. That's the problem. And violence, I don't think that is going to be the solution, except it would give them an excellent excuse to wipe us out with these high-tech weapons. And that's what they really want. I think they would like to start some kind of violent action, so that would give them the excuse to use those weapons, supposedly in self-defense. You know, where I'm going with this, that I think the solution to all of these problems is to recognize that we cannot rely on any branches of government as they are now constituted to support these principles of liberty, because the whole mechanism is an organized criminal cartel.
Well, and you see, what you're saying sounds like a hopeless situation. We can't go along with the government because the government is fundamentally evil. We can't make violence on the government because the government has technology that's going to defeat us if we make violence on the government. Okay. Therefore, what are we supposed to do? I mean, let's without making it too expansive, let's focus on the Federal Reserve. If we accept for the time being that the Federal Reserve System does exist and is a valid entity, then what would it require to shut it down completely and return the United States of America to sound monetary policy using real money, gold, and silver? Now, having said what you said, taking that into account, what would it take to make this happen?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics, Brent, because first of all, there is no other way, through violence on the part of an unorganized population anymore, because of the technology. No time previously in history has there been technology that could be placed into the hands of a very, very few people that could literally destroy the earth. I mean, that now exists, and it can destroy enough of the earth to be dominant if you happen to control the red button. But anyway, so it's different now and then. But the question is still an excellent one, and because let me go back a little bit in history. There was a Chinese philosopher and warrior by the name of Sun Tzu, who lived and wrote in the year 500 BC, that period. And he wrote a treatise on warfare, became eventually put into a book, and it's now a book that's read in all of the war colleges of all the nations of the world today. It's called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And I've studied that many times. I've gone back and read it, and each time I get a better insight as to what's going on in the world today. And one of the most important lessons comes from his statement as follows. He says, "Supreme excellence in warfare is to defeat your enemy without having to engage him in battle." And you think about that for a minute. Okay, how can you defeat your enemy without fighting him? And the answer is very clear. You convince him that he can't win. You convince him that it's too late. And I see that strategy being used brilliantly today by our enemy against our friends. Almost everybody is convinced that it's too big. We can't do anything about it. It's too late. And all they want to think about is, how do we survive? How much water should we have? How much food should we put away? Should we move into the mountains? Should we buy gold or silver? But nobody's talking about, how do we win this bloody war? In other words,
Hang on. G. Edward, we have another break we have to go to. Stay with me, please. Hold your point. Don't forget what you were about to say. We have to take another break. We'll be right back with more of G. Edward Griffin and the Global Freedom Report.
More about freedom and your phone calls right after this.
Freedom Bound International is a common law service center specializing in asset protection. For more than 35 years, they've helped people free themselves from government control. Their common law Pure Trust organization successfully protects property from confiscation, claims, liens, and judgments. None of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. The Private Interest Foundation holds assets internationally, distributes funds privately, and does so anonymously. Their stealth LLCs let you set up banking as privately as possible. They offer books, CDs, DVDs, and a variety of products and services designed to teach you how to live free from Big Brother. Call them today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
The Dark Ages were 1,000 years of chaos, war, famine, and disease. You think that won't happen again because we have computers and jet planes and cellular phones? Think again.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. If you would like to get on board, the toll-free number is 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. If you have a question or a comment for my guest. My guest is G. Edward Griffin. The topic is the Federal Reserve. And you were talking about where we go from here. What can we actually do? You know, rather than just say, well, there's nothing we can do, and you know, just bury our heads in the sand. Can you pick up on that, G. Edward?
The reason I'm bringing that up is because I think that our enemy, and I'll call it that for now, we might talk about who those are later, but our enemy is in general a broad group of people from all different races, all different religions, all different nationalities, all different ages and all lifestyles, etc. And they all have one thing in common, and that is that they're firm believers in an ideology called collectivism. Communism, fascism, Nazism, socialism, all those things are merely variants, just variants of the same thing, which is called collectivism. Most people don't know that because they don't teach that in school. You have to figure that out yourself. I had to discover it myself by reading these old books that are over 150 years old, speak about collectivism and its opposite, which is called individualism. Collectivism versus individualism was a common topic in old books, but they were all expunged starting with about World War I. By World War II, nobody ever heard of the word collectivism and individualism. So the first thing is to realize that today, almost everyone on the planet is a believer in collectivism. In other words, they believe in the principles of communism and fascism, but they hate communism and fascism, but yet they believe in the principles of them. You know, from each according to his ability, to each according to their need, and all that stuff. You know, the group is more important than the individual, and the individual must be sacrificed if necessary for the greater good of the greater number. Everybody believes that. Those are the foundation pillars, several of them, of collectivism. And all of these isms are, you know, communism, fascism, Nazism. I've read all their books. They're all the same. I made notes, and they all believe the same things. And yet we think that one fought the other. Well, of course, Nazis fought the communists in World War II. They killed each other by hundreds of thousands, but they believed in the same thing. They were fighting for territory and dominance. They weren't fighting over belief systems. So now, the reason I go into that is because if you're talking about what to do about it, you must recognize who the enemy really is. And the enemy is not the rich people. It's not Chinese. It's not the Americans. It's not the Jews. It's not the Catholics. It's not the black people or the white people. It's not the Chinese. I mentioned that already. People are getting divided up by our enemy. Who do you hate the most? So they know that we outnumber them tremendously. But if we fight each other, and we can be divided into little groups, and we each are suspicious of the other, and we don't unite on our common cause of liberty, why, then we're easy to control. So I have to go through that first before I answer your question. We have to first understand the ideology of liberty if we're going to fight to defend it. We have to know what we're defending. Most people have no idea what it takes to be free. they just say, well, that's if you're not in jail, you're free. And that's a huge mistake. There are principles of liberty, and you'll find them under the definition of collectivism. So first you have to develop an understanding and a desire for individualism on the part of at least 15% of the population. 15% of the population usually writes the book. 1%, one guy might come up with an idea, and then he gets 3% to promote the idea. The 3% recruit 15% of the population to work for the idea, and they're the ones that take over. They're the ones that write the history books. You don't need 51% or 90%. You just need basically 15% led by 3%. And we've got that number, but they don't know what they believe. They argue with each other. They argue over religion endlessly. My gosh. And this is not a religious war. I'm sorry to say that, but you can't make a religious war out of it and ask the whole world to be on your side because everybody's got a different religion. You see, if you're fighting a common enemy that has no religion, well, you've got, they don't have to fight over religion. They say, we hate all religions. And that's easy, and that's our enemy. But on our side, we've got all these different religions, and I'm glad we do, by the way, and I'm glad that we do have religious people, and we need churches for that. But this is not a theological battle. This is a very tangible freedom battle. And, as close as I can come to it, I believe that, you can pray for potatoes, but then you reach for the hoe. And if God's going to intervene on the side of freedom, it's because people like you and me are going to fight for freedom. And that doesn't mean with bayonets and guns necessarily. We have to fight for it by getting into the organizations, the political parties, the school systems, the media, doing what you're doing, having a pod show, spreading the truth. That's the kind of fighting that's always been going on since the last 50 or 60 or 100 years. Psychological, mostly, even though physical weapons were certainly used, but the real weapons were psychological. So now what do? We're back to the question. I'm working right now at Red Pill University. You've heard that name before. What it's all about is that we're in the process of creating what we call campuses of Red Pill University that will be in existence in every county in the United States and every similar political subdivision around the world. Yes, around the world. We think big. This is a global battle. This is not just the US of A. It's a global battle. So we want boots on the ground. We want campuses, we'll call them. And they won't be large. They'll usually be about 50 or 60 people. I've participated in building some of these already. And I can tell you, if you have that many people who know what they believe in, that's the first step. You can't overlook that step. If they know what they believe in and they work together and their principles are sound, they win. They can take over any local community, and when I say take it over, I mean influence it to the point that they can get rid of these collectivists who now dominate the
Well, okay. Let me. Yeah, go ahead.
Build these organizations and take over the political systems at the local level, and I'll stop there.
Okay, well, yeah, there'll be much more, but that leads me to a question I want to get in here, okay, before we get another tangent. And that is, do you think that more people have become more educated and prepared to do something about this over time, or do you believe that the level of indoctrination has crossed a threshold from which there really is no recovery? Or is there something in between the two possibilities?
I don't think there's anything in between. My personal opinion is that we right now already have more than enough people who have the will and they have the resolve, they have the character to do it. The only thing they lack is knowledge of how many of them there are. Many of our people think they're all alone because they don't see their friends on television. The television prevents people from seeing how strong they are. Everything they see on television is showing the strength of the other side, so that we will say, they're everywhere. We can't possibly win. They love to tell us how bad things are. And some of them, pose as being patriots because they're telling us how horrible things are. And we think, they must be on our side. But they're not necessarily. Some of them are there to convince us that it's too late to fight. It's psychological war, as they say. And until we understand those psychological tactics against us, we're just sitting ducks. All we can think of is to grab a rifle or a pistol and go out and meet the tank, in Tiananmen Square or something like that. And that's not the way it's going to work.
What do you think of the new Fed chairman, Kevin Warsh?
I missed that. Think of what?
I said, what do you think of the new Fed chairman, brand new, Kevin Warsh?
Oh, to tell you the truth, I don't know a lot about him. All I know is that he has to be no different than any of the other chairmen, because that's one of the most important control centers of the cabal that we're fighting, control of the monetary systems of the world, with the Federal Reserve at the center of it at the moment. They would never put somebody like you or me into a position like that. So whoever it is, they're not going to change anything. They're going to just continue what they have always done.
Understood. Okay, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the Red Pill Expo. This is the Global Freedom Report with G. Edward Griffin. We'll be right back. 866-870-KRLA. If you have any questions, 866-870-5752. We'll be right back.
More about freedom and your phone calls right after this.
KRLA AM 870 The Answer. Connect with us now at am870.info. Download our AM 870 app and take us everywhere you go today.
Arif, how long have you been married?
33 wonderful years, Dennis. My wife, Pamela, and I have 3 grown children. 2 are married and all have solid careers and college degrees. But Dennis, when folks get married, they say the vows till death do us part. Well, we're speaking of college degrees. Did you know what else has the same commitment till death do us part?
Are you going to say college loans?
Yes, you got it. Parents who have federal loans are married to that loan until they pay it off. Till death do they part.
And you can't divorce debts. You can divorce your spouse.
Our clients often are shocked at how college loans can deplete their retirement income.
Well, you should tell them at PragerU, it's a free university.
Totally agree, Dennis. And in fact, I think every college student should watch an hour a day of PragerU videos just to counter that leftist indoctrination they receive in their college classroom.
That is right. You're certainly knowledgeable in many facets of finance and how it affects our retirement. Folks, I urge you to let Arif Halaby, CEO of TFS Financial Insurance Services, help you. Call 888-99-RETIRE, 888-99-RETIRE.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Please be advised, you may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
I thought those were good for me.
What's healthy for one person may cause inflammation for another. So how do you know what your body actually needs? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple at-home gut health test that analyzes your real-time biology to give you personalized nutrition guidance and custom supplements. Learn more at Viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase.
Portions of the following are pre-recorded.
KRLA, Glendale, AM 870 The Answer is the talk of Southern California. Connect with us now at am870.info. Download our AM 870 app and take us everywhere you go today. KRLA, AM 870 The Answer.
With SRN News, I'm Mary Rose. The Iran war is over. Correspondent John Scott reports.
President Trump posted on Truth Social, "This great deal will bring peace and security to the whole region. Many presidents have tried to make peace with Iran, and all have failed before me." The president continued, "The leaders of the region have, for the first time, found a president who can help them achieve real peace. With the opening of the strait upon the signing of the deal on Friday for purposes of mine removal, oil will flow on both ends again for the region and the world." President Donald J. Trump.
The NTSB and the FAA will lead the investigation into a plane crash that killed 12 people in Missouri. The Missouri State Highway Patrol said aircraft went down shortly before 11:30 this morning. This is SRN News.
June 14th is Flag Day. That's right, Flag Day is here. And honor of Flag Day, think about our troops serving overseas, protecting our flag, our freedoms. Won't you help send care packs? Father's Day is next Sunday, 4th of July quickly approaching. These care packs are a tangible way to say thank you, to let our brave men and women in all branches of the military know that we appreciate them, that we haven't forgotten them. But sadly, if you don't call, we can't send them. Call 833, the number 2 and the word troops. On this Flag Day, stand with our troops. Let them know they're not forgotten. 833, the number 2 and the word troops, or am870.info. 50, 100, 250, 500. Give what you can. Donate $250. Get a $50 food certificate from Columbo's as a thank you. Call 833, the number 2 and the word troops. 833, the number 2 troops, or am870.info.
Hi, this is Kenny Michaels, host of the show Striking Gold. You know, every week on my show, I talk about people moving their retirement accounts, their cash into physical gold and silver. Well, why not? It's the most popular investment today in America. It's the safest investment in America, and it's still the most profitable investment in America. Why not? Think about this for a minute. Not only can you move your retirement account into physical gold and silver, you can move your cash in the bank. And think about how smart that would be. You have money in the bank, and the bank pays you a tiny bit of interest. Then at the end of the year, they send you a tax form. Now you got to pay tax on the tiny bit of interest. What a joke. Instead, put it into gold and silver. Want to know how? Tune into my show, Striking Gold, with me, the good-looking Kenny Michaels, every Saturday from 7 to 9 a.m. and again from 12 to 1 p.m. Or call me at 888-406-6222 or go to kennysgoldquiz.com.
Summer is here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Rez's best deal. Don't let rising gas prices stop you from having a clean and healthy home. Keep comfort affordable with powerful cleaning at a price you can feel good about. Zero Rez can handle every surface in your home: carpets, tile and grout, upholstery, air ducts, and more. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at $149, plus a free hallway, and take 15% off your air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroRezSoCal.com and ask for the 870 AM The Answer Special.
AM 870, The Answer.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report, hour number 2. My name is Brent Johnson, your host. 866-870-KRLA is the toll-free number, 866-870-5752. My guest is G. Edward Griffin. The topic is the Federal Reserve. And G. Edward, I know that you have an event coming up, a Red Pill Expo set for July 11th to 12th, Las Vegas. I want to first... we've got a spot to play for people so you can hear about Red Pill Expo, and then we're going to have G. Edward tell us some details about it. Travis, can you play the piece?
Tired of being misled by the mainstream narrative? It's time to take the red pill and discover perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Join us at Red Pill Expo 2026, happening July 11th and 12th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hear from researchers, doctors, journalists, and speakers from around the world as they discuss global events, media narratives, health, technology, freedom, and much more. Whether you attend in person or watch online from the comfort of your home, Red Pill Expo gives you the opportunity to explore ideas and information outside the mainstream conversation. The event will be live streamed, and you can register for free online access today, or join us live in Las Vegas for the full experience. Visit redpillexpo.org to reserve your ticket, get event details, and make your plans for Red Pill Expo 2026.
The Red Pill Expo, July 11th to 12th in Las Vegas. And G. Edward, I have to tell you, okay, maybe next year you would invite me as a guest, because you and I are cut from the same cloth. We really, really, truly are. And I would take it as an honor and love to be able to present information about freedom and liberty to the attendees of your event. And I know there will be a lot there. Tell us about the new Red Pill Expo event scheduled for July 11th and 12th.
Okay, well, the little blurb that was played pretty well describes it. It's a 2-day event, and we bring in speakers from literally all over the world, but mostly the United States because it's closer. And these are people who are usually quite professional people, a lot of doctors and scientists and teachers, and some people from just regular walks of life. But most of them have discovered in their own lives an important, what we call the red pill, which means they discovered something that they believed to be true turned out to be not true, something very important in their lives or their profession. And we're talking about life-changing discoveries, like, what is money? Is it good or bad? Who's running? People think that money is created by the government. Nope, folks, it's created by the private banks, called the banking cartel, called the Federal Reserve, and things like that, And so we've been doing this since 2017 was our first one in Bozeman, Montana. And we thought, well, maybe calling it the Red Pill Expo would be a little bit too crude for a serious topic like that, but it's based on the sci-fi movie, I think it was 2020, that The Matrix was put on screen. And it's based on that movie where humans were living in a state of delusion. They were actually not living at all. They were wired up to huge machines, and they were being used only for their brain power. And they were imagining that they lived a normal life. They imagined that they get up in the morning. They imagined that they went to work. They imagined that they came home and turned on the television set. They imagined that they got married. Everything. Meanwhile, it was all illusion to them, and they didn't know the difference. They thought it was the real thing. And, well, all of mankind was captured like that, but a few of them had escaped somehow, and they were trying to help their brethren to also escape. And that's where the show begins, the story. And so the heroes the hero, his name was Neo, was given the option to come out and see life the way it really was. And in order to do that, you take the red pill. If you'd rather stay in a state of mesmerization and dream that everything is fine but do nothing, well, you could take the blue pill and go back to sleep and into the dream state again. So that's the basis for it all. And we thought that, people living in the world today, all of us are living in dream states in many cases. We have the wrong idea about wars, about money. We have the wrong ideas about our media. Stories are lies in some cases. Everywhere you look, healthcare, boy, the stuff they're trying to feed us in the healthcare world is mostly lies nowadays. And so that's what it's all about. And we thought when we put a Red Pill Expo up that it might be rejected because people would think that it's pretty, like it's too pop culture for them. But to our surprise, the first one we held was a smashing success. It was in Bozeman, Montana, of all places. But the place was packed. It looked like the Democrat or the Republican convention. It was packed. And people came from all over the world, and we knew we had hit a vibrant stone or a chord, because everybody wanted to get out of the matrix. So that's the theme behind it, and we have people that come and get on stage and tell us about the red pill that they had discovered in their lives, and it's very, very interesting and extremely important. Now, you'd have to go to our website to see who all the speakers are. I won't mention them all by name, but they're all people, some you will know about, and some you haven't heard about. But one new one that comes to mind this time is Michael Yon, who is a retired Green Beret, and special services military guy that went finally, after he got out of the service, he went back into the service in a way as a correspondent in the battle zone. So he's one of those guys that's right there with the soldiers fighting on the front lines, bullets whizzing over their heads, and sometimes he has to put his camera down and pick up a rifle just to save his life. And he'll be talking about what's going on over in the Middle East, all the so-called blockages in the Hormuz, and all the ships and starting and stopping. The war is on. No, the war is off. Oh, it's on again. No, it's off again. And he compares that to what's being built in other parts of the world, where his topic this time is going to be global famine, because he sees behind all of these maneuvers a trend to bring on global famine all over the world pretty much at the same time. And as I mentioned earlier, the purpose of that would be to bring everybody to their knees in desperation, without food, without water, without shelter, without medical care, and without education. Help us, dear government, help us, help us, help us. Oh, okay, well, we'll give you guaranteed minimum wage, we'll give you health care, we'll give you a place to live for free. I know you can't afford it anymore, but we'll give you a free place, and we'll give you all these, we'll give you clothes, food stamps, yes, don't worry about it, we'll take care of you. But you better do what we say, buddy, because if you don't, we cut you off. That's the theme that he'll be talking about, and it's a real one, and the kind of thing that we do. So, by all means, you want to hear some crazy theories and hear some theories that you happen to agree with, also, you'll find them there. And the Red Pill Expo website is redpillexpo.org. And you'll find out all about it. Now, I want to emphasize that it's free. You can see the whole thing from start to finish, absolutely all of it, for free. But if you want to go to the event and sit in the audience and mingle with the speakers at lunchtime and ask questions and make new friends, that's where we begin to build this coalition I was talking about earlier, where you start organizing yourself into groups that you can turn into campuses in your own hometown. So it serves a double purpose. It's educational, but it's primarily to bring people together and help them realize that they are not alone, and that if they work together, 50 or 60 people together, they can change the world.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm telling you. You and I are cut from the same cloth. I would love to be there. I would love to be there. Can't do it this year, but okay. I would love to be a part of that next year. See if maybe there's something we can do together. But absolutely true. Everything you're saying is so right on. So the website is redpillexpo.org. Now, does this website go beyond just the event? Does it provide ways for people to contact you, to find out more about the work you are doing to restore sanity to the asylum that has become the United States government? Can Americans dedicated to the pursuit of truth and freedom contact you to become more involved in your work, maybe even to provide financial support for your efforts? Is this website a central website for all of that?
Yes, Brent, it is. And as a matter of fact, that's its primary purpose. I mean, just coming together and hearing more bad news is, we don't need that. There are plenty of people doing that everywhere you look. People telling you how bad things are. And they're right, and it gets worse every day. But we do have to do some of it because it's important. But that's not our main mission. Our main mission is to find the people who are movers and shakers, who want to get business, to get together and do the business at hand, which is to recapture the levers of influence in your local community through the political parties, the political movements, the school system, board of directors, board of education, I should say, and board of supervisors, the mayor's office, city council, board of education, all those things. If you can become influential in those power centers, as our enemy calls them, you can literally greatly influence what happens in the community, because most people will not do any of that. A very small percentage of the population does all of that, which is why our enemy took over so easily is because nobody felt that it was necessary to defend our system. They didn't even know it was under attack, but now they know. So that's why that is, in fact, the main purpose of our whole Red Pill Expo. So if you really want to do something and be part of the solution, this is where you should be.
redpillexpo.org, folks. Write it down, and we will have it at globalfreedomreport.us. We'll have all the information about G. Edward Griffin, about the event, archive of the show, okay, where you can download it, you can listen to it over and over again, share it with friends, whatever else. Anything else you would like to lend to us out of your wisdom and your expertise on these issues, G. Edward?
No, I think we've already touched on the important ones, but there's one little aspect of that I would like to emphasize on the end of this. We've got to stop thinking defensively. It was Napoleon who said the purely defensive is doomed to defeat. I want people to stop thinking about, it's not bad to think about you have food supply in case the famine comes, or having gold and silver and having, a place to run to. That's all well and good. But I want them to start thinking about how do we win the battle? Because if we don't win this battle, it won't make any difference how much gold and silver we have. We will be slaves.
Well said. Thank you so much, G. Edward Griffin. It has been an honor. It has been a pleasure to have you. I look forward to doing things with you, okay, because, like I say, we are cut from the same cloth. God bless you, my friend. May next month's event be as fantastic as it ought to be and as it will be. My prayers are with you. God bless you and yours. G. Edward Griffin, we're going to take a break. You're very welcome. We're going to take a break. 866-870-KRLA if you would like to be part of the show. We will be right back with more of the Global Freedom Report.
Don't go away. There's a lot more of the Global Freedom Report when we come back.
DOJA, the Department of Government Accountability. This is our citizen-led watchdog task force under American-made action. We're exposing corruption in child welfare, family courts, and unconstitutional federal programs like Title IV-E. The funding that is sifted straight down through the Health and Human Services Agency into the Social Security Administration and directly out to the agencies across 50 states that are responsible for the separation of children and families. And through lawful notices, federal lawsuits, and investigative media, DOJA is holding those rogue officials accountable, demanding transparency and restoring parental rights. We're not waiting for Congress. We're the people taking lawful action now. Visit AmericanMadeAction.org. Hit the Take Action button and join the reckoning.
Hi, this is Devon Kleist, and you're listening to the Global Freedom Report with Brent Johnson. And over time, it really will make you better than everybody else.
There's so much chaos, someone will do something stupid. And when they do, things will turn nasty.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. If you'd like to be part of the show, the toll-free number is 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Now, if you, a member of our audience, would like to voice your feelings about some issue or issues that concern you, we want to give you an opportunity to rant and rave about the issue. Listeners will be given the chance to call into the show and share their anger, outrage, and or frustration, or maybe share their joy if it's something they really support about whatever the issue is that concerns you. Now, if you'd like to do that, all you have to do is give us a call off the air at Freedom Bound International at 888-385-3733. That number again, 888-385-FREE. And say, I want to rant and rave, and we will get you on the air. You have about 1 million people listening to what you have to say, and that's important because what you're doing when you rant and rave is you are planting seeds. And there are a lot of other people out there going, yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And there are other people going out, I didn't know that. And you're teaching them something. Okay, when you rant and rave, you are planting seeds, and those seeds do germinate and they grow. And that is how you create a revolution. So if you would like to rant and rave, please give us a call off the air at 888-385-3733, 888-385-FREE. If you would like to get into becoming a member of the press, you can do that with us as well. Okay, you can actually go out there. You get yourself and it's easy, it's inexpensive. Get yourself a recording device and go out there and interview people. Men on the street interviews, women on the street interviews. Okay, this is an opportunity for you to go into the public and ask people about current events and topical issues. The reporters conducting these interviews you'll have your own equipment. The interviews will then be submitted to the Global Freedom Report for editing before being aired on the show. It's a great way for you to get experience and credentials as a journalist, okay? And it is also an opportunity for you to actually make contact with members of the public about issues that really matter. And you could select the issues you want to address. We will get them on the air. All we're trying to do is get the truth out there. And this is one way that you can help make that happen. Our question for the week: are you concerned about appearing on government lists? And if so, which ones? 866-870-KRLA is the toll-free number if you would like to be part of the show. 866-870-5752. It looks like Donald Trump has announced that they have finally got signatures or got a memo of understanding to be signed today or tomorrow, okay, ending the war with Iran. That should bring gas prices down substantially. I have a friend down in Eastern Texas who sent me a copy of a gas price indicator that was $3.12. In my region, I saw it at a Walmart at $3.39. It is definitely going down. And now that the official word is out there, I suspect it will go down substantially. Okay, you might let me know. As a matter of fact, give us a call. Tell us what gas prices are in your region of the country. 866-870-KRLA. 866-870-5752. You know, when G. Edward is talking about it, what I think people don't really grasp is that the uniqueness of the system of government that was established in the United States of America, up until the American Revolution, it was considered that all rights came from the king. All rights came from the government. And the king was considered to rule by divine right from God. So you get your rights from the government. And what you get from the government can manipulate and take away. The American Revolution started something unique. And that was that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Unalienable meaning unchangeable. We get our rights from God, not from government. And God is above government. That's why the Marxists won't go along with it. That's why the first tenet in Marxism is there is no God. Because if there's a God, there is something greater than the government. In our system, our rights come from God, not from government. And that means the government can never, ever, ever take away those rights. Never, for any reason. The government cannot make up rules and then say, if you break those rules, you lose your rights. Can't do that. They do it anyway. But that's when they violate your rights, and when your rights are violated, when a gift that you've been given by God is violated, what are you going to do? This is what I ask you at the end of every show. What are you willing to do to protect and preserve your God-given rights? Do you really believe in God? Do you really believe that He has gifted you these rights? That He is the creator of all? If you do believe that, why would you hesitate to protect such a celestial gift as the rights He has bequeathed to you? Why would you even hesitate? I would think that you would sit there and say, I'll do anything to protect those rights. There's nothing I wouldn't do. I'll risk my life. What the founders said, my life, my liberty, my sacred honor. That's why I ask the question every week. What are you not willing to do to protect and preserve those rights? Because whatever you tell me you're not willing to do, that gives me the tool with which to enslave you. You think about that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll visit with tonight's edition of Lessons in Liberty. Plus, we'll take your calls at 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Stay tuned.
We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to the Global Freedom Report.
A common law pure trust organization is the most powerful asset protection device available. Pure trusts have been around in the USA since 1790, when Patriot Patrick Henry created the first one. Pure trusts establish ironclad protection for real property, vehicles, businesses, and just about anything else. A pure trust creates a wall of privacy over its assets, reduces personal liability, and protects property from attachment. Freedom Bound International has been creating pure trusts for over 35 years, and none of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. Call today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us for information and applications for their pure trusts. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
The Answer. Breaking news.
Spencer Pratt has broken his silence after failing to advance to the November runoff in the race for L.A. mayor.
And now every problem that plagues Los Angeles because of these two corrupt communists is going to accelerate, and the city will tumble headlong into the abyss.
He released a video, says LA will be doomed with either Bass or ramen.
Angelinos are now stuck with two morons responsible for all their problems, and they have to choose between Dumb and Dumber.
Larry Marino on The Answer with breaking news and talk you can trust. Today is Flag Day. Next Sunday is Father's Day. 4th of July coming up quickly after that. Hi, Larry Marino here. Troopathon is ready to go with the care packs for our troops, our members of the military, and all branches overseas who won't be home this season. Won't you help out? Care packs bring smiles to faces and even tears to eyes. They're filled with all sorts of goodies and treats. We need your help. Call right now, 833, the number 2, and the word troops, 833-287-6677, or give online at am870.info. When you call or give online, dictate a greeting. Long after the treats have been enjoyed, that soldier knows you took the time to remember his or her sacrifice. We need your help. 50, 100, 250, 500. Give what you can. Donate $250. Receive a $50 food certificate from Columbo's as a thank you while they last. Hurry, call 833, the number 2, and the word troops, or am870.info.
Our founders believed that freedom wasn't just a word, it was a way of life. Larry Elder here. The freedom to move forward, the freedom to pursue what matters most, the freedom to live fully. But pain has a way of taking those freedoms away. That's why Relief Factor exists. I've been taking Relief Factor for a number of years, and I do not miss a day without taking it. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free, research-based supplement designed to help support a healthy inflammatory response, addressing pain at its source, not just covering it up. Over 1 million Americans have tried Relief Factor, and about 2/3 go on to order more. So this year, as we celebrate 250 years of freedom, ask yourself a simple question. Are you living with the freedom you deserve? Relief Factor gives you the opportunity to live pain-free and get back to the life you love. To commemorate our country's birth, we're offering a special patriotic price, just $17.76. So you can celebrate your freedom from pain. Your $17.76 3-week quick start is ready for you. Visit ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF, 800-4-RELIEF.
AM 870. The Answer.
Hi, this is Paul Tapetti from the Patriot Rock Group Poker Face, and you're listening to the Global Freedom Report with Brent Johnson.
Freedom Fever.
How bad do things have to get before you do something? How long is it going to be before you finally resist and say, no, I will not comply?
Freedom Fever. Catch it today.
You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You've got to be your own man, not a puppet on a string. Never compromise what's right and uphold your family name. You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
And welcome back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. If you'd like to be part of the show, the toll-free number is 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. All right. In pre-American England, only nobility could own property. This is historical fact. You had nobles and you had commoners. Commoners could not own property. The Declaration of Independence, on which the United States of America was founded, established that all men, and by the way, women too, are created equal. What that means is that each of us has a God-given right to our lives, our liberty, and our property. Each of us can own property. Now, there's a universal principle that ownership equals liability. The owner of property is always liable for damage caused by that property, whether the owner is you, a corporation, a trust, a foundation, etc. The owner of property is the principal. An agent is someone who acts on behalf of a principal. There is a universal law of principal and agent. There is a universal law of principal and agent that states that an agent cannot be held liable for actions taken in good faith on behalf of the principal. Let me give you a little example of this. Let's say I own a piece of property. I've got a house, land, things like that, and I hire you as a gardener. Your job is to take care of the garden. Weed the weeds, make sure the soil is irrigated, clean up the landscaping, okay, do all the things that a gardener is supposed to do. That's your job. Now, while you're doing your job, you accidentally knock over a flower pot and break the flower pot. Now, you might be a good person and you're responsible for it. You're going to take care of it. You're going to buy another flower pot, and that's nice. However, under the law of principal and agent, I cannot force you to pay for that flower pot because you were acting in your capacity as a gardener, as you were doing the work you were hired to do. And that means you were acting in good faith. Okay, an agent cannot be held liable for actions taken in good faith on behalf of the principal. Good faith means you are doing your job, what you were hired to do. And in the process, you made a mistake and you actually accidentally broke the flower pot. Now, let's take another example. Same situation. Okay, I own this property. I've hired you as a gardener. I go to the store to get some groceries. I come back, I find that the front door of the house has been painted lime blue. I didn't do that. I didn't ask anybody to do that, so I started asking around and I find out that you did it. You, the gardener, went out and repainted the front door. Now, that's not part of your job as a gardener. You were not contracted to do that. Therefore, your actions in painting or repainting the front door are in bad faith. You have not been acting in good faith on behalf of the principal. Therefore, I can tell you in no uncertain terms, fix it the way it was. If you don't fix it, I'm going to sue you because I can hold you liable because you took it upon yourself to repaint the door. It wasn't part of your job. That is what is meant by acting in good faith or bad faith. Now, in everything you do in life, everything, you always want to be an agent. You do not want to be a principal because ownership equals liability. If you're acting as an agent, you carry no liability. And here's the thing that most people don't realize. The government, I remember I come from the Thomas Paine School of Government. Government at its very best is necessary evil. That means the government by nature is evil. It is not your friend. It is evil. Okay. Well, when government wants to go after your property, and by the way, the character of evildoers is evildoers seek to take what's yours and make it theirs. So when the government wants to go after what's yours and make it theirs, they don't look for your assets. They look for your liabilities, which are a lot easier to find. Because ownership equals liability, that means the reverse is true. Liability equals ownership. They find your liabilities, they draw a straight line, they find your assets. Now, somebody like me, I don't own anything. And because I don't own anything, I have no liability. And because I have no liability, the government actually leaves me alone. I go on the air. I'm talking to 1 million people right now. I go on the air. I'm heard by people all over the world. You would think that the government would want to shut me down, but no. The psychology of the government is there are evildoers throughout government. They are criminals. They actually seek to circumvent the Constitution, which, by the way, is the supreme law of the land. So they are trained to break the law, so that makes them criminals. And the character of criminals is criminals seek to take what's yours and make it theirs. Well, since I own nothing, I have nothing they can take. Therefore, I'm not a person of interest, and they leave me alone to live my life in peace and freedom. That, in today's society, is the key to being free. Freedom means freedom from government control. When you understand that, you can take action to make sure that you have no liability, and therefore the government leaves you alone. The idea is to have practical control over any property without carrying the liability of legal control. This is what the wealthiest so-called elite who seek to rule the world do for themselves. And you are not supposed to know about this concept. You're supposed to go to your bar card carrying attorneys for advice. You're supposed to go to your certified public accountant for advice. And you ever wonder who certifies the accountant? It's the government. If you arrange to hold property, for example, if you arrange to hold property in a common law pure trust organization, which I think is the best device for holding property, then as a trust, at any trust, it holds property for the benefit of another. In a common law pure trust, you benefit from the trust-owned property. So let's say you put your house into trust. You don't own the house anymore, but you get to live there. You don't own the house anymore, but if the house is sold, you get the proceeds. And by the way, a distribution from a common law pure trust is not a taxable event. The point being that you can arrange your life so that you own nothing, and I'm not talking about World Economic Foundation type of own nothing and be happy. I'm talking about really and truly owning nothing but benefiting from everything. That's what the wealthiest do. That's what you're not supposed to know how to do. That's what I can teach you how to do. And that, my friends, is today's edition of Lessons in Liberty. 866-870-KRLA is the toll-free number, 866-870-5752. When we come back, we will take your calls. And I see, oh, look at that. We got a call coming in from LA about gas prices. Oh, my God. I'm going to shudder at this. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper and say, this is my guess, and see what you have to say. 866-870-KRLA. We'll be right back with more of the Global Freedom Report. Stay tuned.
From coast to coast and around the world, this is the Global Freedom Report, and we'll be back in a minute.
Freedom Bound International is a common law service center specializing in asset protection. For more than 35 years, they've helped people free themselves from government control. Their common law pure trust organization successfully protects property from confiscation, claims, liens, and judgments. None of their trusts have ever been successfully attacked. The Private Interest Foundation holds assets internationally, distributes funds privately, and does so anonymously. Their Stealth LLCs let you set up banking as privately as possible. They offer books, CDs, DVDs, and a variety of products and services designed to teach you how to live free from Big Brother. Call them today at 888-385-FREE. That number again is 888-385-3733. Or visit their website at freedomradio.us. Freedom Bound International, dedicated to the preservation of personal freedom, privacy rights, and the principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence.
This is Tom DeWeese of the American Policy Center, fighting to protect your property and your personal privacy. And you're listening to the Global Freedom Report.
Whatever we ask the minister, he says is an administrative question for you. And whatever we ask you, you say is a policy question for the minister. How do you suggest we find out what's going on?
Yes. I do see that there is a real dilemma here. In that, while it has been government policy to regard policy as the responsibility of ministers and administration as the responsibility of officials, the questions of administrative policy can cause confusion between the policy of administration and the administration of policy, especially when responsibility for the administration of the policy of administration conflicts or overlaps with responsibility for the policy of the administration of policy.
Back to the Global Freedom Report. I'm your host, Brent Johnson. 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Jay calling in from Los Angeles. What are your gas prices? You tell me, and then I'll tell you what I wrote down. And I don't know.
Well,
Jay, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Okay. So Arco gas station, which is a lot less than other majors, $5.89 for regular and $5.99 for premium.
Oh, wow. I was so far off. All right. I had $4.65.9. That's what boy, I was so way off.
Yeah, and that's the cash price. The credit card is 10 cents more.
Credit card is what?
10 cents more for each of those prices I gave you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So okay, assuming that indeed the war with Iran is over, what do you think will happen to gas prices in LA? Your opinion?
They'll go down, obviously, but it will take time. But we're always about $1.50 to $2 more than the rest of the nation. I mean, it's just a fact that we pay so much here. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's because California takes a bunch of the money and says that they give it to, protecting the forest, protecting the fish, protecting this, protecting that, okay, doing all kinds of compassionate things. But then it ends up in Gavin Newsom's pocket. How do you feel about that?
I'm furious about it, but it seems like every time we go to vote, it's like, who knows? Is it rigged, or is it just too many people that don't know any better and they keep voting for the same people that are our enemy, basically?
Well, we know that California allows, just for example, the ballot harvesting, okay, that ballot harvesters are allowed to put whatever date they want to put in. The law in California says that there must be a postmark on the date of a mail-in ballot. But if you can't make out the postmark from the postal stamp, you could just write in whatever date you want to write in, and that becomes the postmark. That literally is what it says in California law. So, you see that, what's her name, Rowan, whatever her name is, she just got like 40,000 votes, and neither Bass nor Spencer Pratt got one vote. She just got 40,000 votes automatically. And it's already been established that mathematically that is impossible. Impossible.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Go again, Jay?
Yes.
Were you trying? Yeah, you were trying to say something. Go ahead.
Just saying that's what we have in California. If we can get a different governor in here next go around like Steve Hilton, we've got a shot. But, you know, it's a long shot to get him voted in. If you look at if the past is anything to look at.
Well, if we go far enough into the past, we get to Ronald Reagan. So there was a time that this was not going on. Perhaps President Trump can dismantle it completely. Okay, that would be nice. There is word now that the post office itself is stepping in and saying that it will not authorize submissions of mail-in ballots that do not have a USPS postal stamp on it. You know, that it will simply not allow that. And if that stands, it'll make quite a big difference. I got to say, though, we need people like, as much as I feel for you for being in that area, we need people like you in that area. Otherwise, the only people who are left are the mindless lunatics. And then nothing will ever get done. So my prayers are with you. My wishes go with you, and for some sanity in terms of elections, that goes with you as well. God bless, my friend. Thank you so much for calling, Jay. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Very quickly, let's take a look at this. Okay. Thomas Paine wrote that government at its very best is a necessary evil. Most people read that as meaning government is necessary. I read that as meaning government is fundamentally evil. I keep hearing democracy, democracy, democracy. Democracy is a system of government in which the majority rule. In a democracy, whatever the majority determines becomes law, regardless of how the result was achieved. In a democracy, the minority is ignored and has no rights. In a democracy, two wolves and a sheep vote on what to have for dinner. What you may not know is the United States Military Training Manual defines democracy as resulting in mob rule, tyranny, and dictatorship. The same military training manual defines republic, which is what we are, as a system of government that achieves statesmanship, reason, justice, and contentment. Do you really wish to live in a democracy? If you want to learn more about your rights and how they've been undermined by government propaganda, I suggest you get a copy of my book, The American Sovereign: How to Live Free from Government Regulation. Now, if you would like your own free copy of the United States Military Training Manual definitions of democracy and republic, call us toll-free at 888-385-FREE. That's 888-385-3733. We will email or snail mail what you ask for, the Democracy Republic Military Training Manual. And be sure to check out my website at www.freedomradio.us. Everything you find there is designed to help you seek the truth rather than believe the lies that propaganda uses to influence you. And that is this week's edition of Propaganda 101. What are you willing to do to protect and preserve your liberty? And what are you not willing to do to protect and preserve that same liberty? And at the end of the day, would you be proud to tell your friends, your family, your loved ones, your children, what you did today? Did you tell the truth? Did you keep your word? Did you honor your agreements? And if not, then please correct any trespass on your brother or sister, and do it now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is too late. And everyone out there is your brother or sister. On next week's show, this is the final show of our first season. We will have open lines to discuss current events and take your calls on whatever issues concern you. We will feature another episode of A Look at the Declaration. We will bring you another invaluable edition of Lessons in Liberty. And we'll embark on our weekly journey into the dirty world of mind control and behavioral manipulation on Propaganda 101. That's all coming up on next week's edition of the Global Freedom Report. Don't miss it. Be sure to visit the Freedom Bound International website at www.freedomradio.us to learn practical ways to live free from government regulation. Call us at 888-385-3733. That's 888-385-FREE. We can show you how to protect your liberty, property, and privacy from government intrusion. Tune in next week for another edition of the Global Freedom Report. I am Brent Johnson, reminding you that freedom is your birthright. It is a precious gift from God. Protect it. Defend it. It is your greatest, most celestial gift. God bless you all. Stay safe. Have a great week. I'm Brent Johnson, signing off.
And you will see that America is still the land of the free.
This program was sponsored